Right, good afternoon, and thank you to everyone that's joining us for a ProThink webinar. And you may be wondering, am I on the right webinar? I'm seeing a cruise liner here in front of me. Well, the reason why you're seeing that is at ProThink, we like the analogy of the world being an ocean and a business being a yacht on this ocean. So business isn't what it used to be, where it was stable and you could build, so to speak, walls around your business and create an empire. You now need to adapt to changing environment that is constantly changing, almost waves of change. And so the yacht analogy works quite well to describe the new world of business. That doesn't explain why it's a cruise liner entirely, though. So why it's a cruise liner is because we have had over 500 registrations for today's event, and the yacht was going to be too small. So we've chartered a cruise liner to ensure we can fit all of the passengers on board. And so with that behind us, I invite you to please come and join us on the deck. You can see we've got some nice comfortable seating, and don't forget to grab a beverage of your choice. So if depending on what time it is, if you're in the morning, perhaps you would like a cup of coffee or a fruit juice, and if it's the afternoon, maybe a glass of wine. But sit back and relax. We're going to have a nice thought-provoking discussion, and please, if you do have questions, put them in the chat, and we will have a Q&A session at the end of the webinar, toward the end, where we will answer the questions. So from there, I'm going to hand over to Michelle, who will take us a bit further. She's going to be moderating for us, and yeah, over to you, Michelle. Thank you. I see your mic is off, Michelle.
Thank you for that reminder. Hello, everyone. Good to see you all here. And it is with great pleasure that we take you on this ride or this cruise today. It's not so much a webinar, as Vincent just mentioned, but it's more of a panel discussion. And the intention is for you to conclude this cruise with us with having had insights into a world that we operate in, and perhaps taking some of the tips that we provide and the knowledge that our panelists will share with you. So what are we about? Our company name is ProThink NXT. For those of you that know the game, it is meant to be fun. It is also meant to be quite a tactical game, and that's what ProThink does. We like to create abundance by making businesses work better. It ties right back with the no poverty goal, and we believe that if we work with our clients to assist them through tools, techniques, experience that we have, software, and their businesses are on a good sail and doing well, then we've fulfilled our mission. So in our business, we've got a range of practices. If you look to the left there, we've got the data practice, we've got the automation, change management and project management practice. We've also got a process and a strategy practice, blockchain practice, where we have a lot of fun, and a compliance practice. Now, all of these practices together assist us to, or provide us with the knowledge and the tools to work with client issues and problems, and put them on a route, or help them navigate challenges that occur. So I'd like to introduce the panelists. First off, there is Andrew Lenti, who is the CEO at Top Tactical Intelligence. Andrew is a partner of ours in providing, they make and support Presto continuous improvement. It's a business process platform and a service as a software offering. My colleague MJ, who is my co-founder we've been in business for 20 years. She's our PMO director and very well versed in the use and application of Presto. And as a project and a program manager, she has deep experience about the pros and cons in project management and how to manage around those challenging aspects that happens in project management. And she has been quite good at learning and promoting how Presto works within that space. And then Vincent Labuschagne, or if you're in Europe, Vincent Labuschagne, he's our Chief Operating Officer. And Vincent has the ability to really jump very easily between highly tech speak and normal business speak. And we always appreciate the way that he brings across things that sounds a little bit too technical at times. Next up is myself. I'm the Group CEO of ProThink NXT. And we have a business in the Netherlands, as well as 2 businesses in South Africa, all of which provide those services as per what we initially described in the practices. Then in the background, we've got Moira and Abby, who are the magicians that makes events like this happen. So they're in the background and they'll be managing the chat room for us as well. Okay, so that's us and the panelists. Let us then jump into how to unlock the unlimited innovation in your team or employees. Was there somebody saying something? Sounded like there was a bit of a sound coming through. Yes, so why do we say team/employees? Many companies these days don't have full-time employees, they hire part-time, but even so, those teams or those people in your business are often the people that knows what is not working well and come up with great ideas. So on to the next point, which is just a pause moment. We'd like to invite you to stay till the end of this session because of a really special offer and a brand new offer that we launched towards the end of October. And with that offer, you are for sure going to save time, reduce unnecessary process steps, clarify roles in the organization, retain corporate knowledge, increase your productivity, and improve performance. That we pretty much guarantee. So please be sure to stay around. So let's get cracking and let's do a poll. And what we'd like to know is, how does your company deal with innovative ideas? And once we've concluded this, please post your vote. I think I'd like to just share which companies are innovating. Vincent, if we could flip to that slide once we're done with the poll. There you go. There we are. These are companies that have been ranked as top innovators in the last year.
So about half the audience has posted their votes. So maybe we just give another 30 seconds and then we can close the poll.
Okay, we've got 19 out of 29. Anybody else want to vote for us?
Okay, I think we end the poll there and share the results.
Okay, so it looks like from this group, 37% manages or deals with innovative ideas as it happens, as and when. 32% have a formal process, and 32 have a system with a dashboard to track progress. Wow, that is good. That is quite a high rating there. Thank you all. So if we move back towards the discussion then, and you've had a quick glimpse there of the companies that do innovation, and I want to invite you to follow my LinkedIn posts as well, because I quite often post information around companies that do innovation and why the innovation is good for them to achieve productivity goals or to achieve cost savings goals or grow. So we will be posting the LinkedIn links in the chat for you to follow if you're keen to learn more. So let's get on with the discussion. And Andrew, I'm going to start off with asking you is, and we've got a saying, fail fast, fail forward, is a way to create corporate entrepreneurs within the innovation space. Andrew, what does it mean to when one goes for a fail fast, fail forward approach in business when you're dealing with innovation?
Hi, Michelle. Hi, Vincent. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's one of our favorite topics at our company. Fail fast, fail forward is, to make a long story short, it's giving your company the possibility to have a culture that allows anybody in the company that's an expert at one of your processes to be able to experiment with that processes. It gives the opportunity for each person that has an idea that could potentially make something better to feel safe and to not feel threatened to try something that potentially won't work. In fact, the more times people fall down and have a chance to get back up, the more resilient and the more flexible your company becomes, because people don't feel threatened by the fact that that ideas aren't always going to work. Famous expression, the best way to have a good idea is to have a lot of ideas. Well, when you have a lot of ideas, the only way to understand if they're good or not is to test them. And most of the time, of course, you need to, when you arrive at the end of your testing, you find out that the idea actually doesn't work, but it puts you close to the idea that will work. And that's what fail fast, fail forward means. It allows people to continuously push that culture.
Thanks, Andrew. And Vincent, your experience of corporate entrepreneurs, what does that actually mean? What is a corporate entrepreneur, and do we see those entrepreneurs in today's businesses?
Yeah, I think it's a novel term. So I mean, it's taking the idea of an entrepreneur and saying that's somebody within your company. Now, my feeling about it is you can't just have entrepreneurs by appointing them. I can't go out and hire a bunch of entrepreneurs and say, come work in my business and be entrepreneurial. It's a cultural thing. If I don't have a culture where I allow people to come up with ideas, where I allow people to think out of the box and make mistakes, then I can't have entrepreneurs. So it starts with that culture of allowing mistakes to be made, allow people to come up with ideas. But it then goes beyond that, because it's all fair and well if people come up with a bunch of ideas, but do I recognize that? And do I do something with it? Because if they're coming up with ideas and I don't do anything about it, all I'm going to be doing is demotivating them. So entrepreneurs is having people in your business coming up with ideas that will enhance and improve your business, maybe some risky ideas even, as an entrepreneur would do. And to have that, you need to have the culture and the systems that support having entrepreneurs in your business.
And if I may, Vincent, that's a great point. Working in big organization. You know, organizations are very famous for structure and rule sets. And the reason why entrepreneurs over the course of history are famous is because they break rules. And what an entrepreneur really is, it's a person that has a mandate to break rules in a structured way, if you can imagine that. So it's an interesting topic that it's not exactly a science, it's more of an art. And of course, like anything, it starts with the culture of your company.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thanks, Andrew and Vincent. I'd just like to ask MJ, you know, you're currently busy with a number of good projects where through just working through processes, you actually give people an opportunity to be entrepreneurial by viewing what is happening in the process. What is your experience around that?
Michelle, yes, first I wanted to talk about what Vincent mentioned, building a culture. You know, there's a big thing in corporates to talk to programs that they run to get their people engaged. Now, people are engaged in the company if they don't feel I just have a 9-to-5 job, I work here, I get paid. But if people start building a sense of it's my company, I contribute, a sense of achievement, a sense of it's our company, and building that culture and allowing people always have ideas, whether you're a clerk or you don't have to be an entrepreneur or an entrepreneur even. You always have ideas of making things better because we all have frustrations in our jobs. And then unpacking processes is a fantastic way to look at your processes and say, this is mapping out my process. I see it on a picture or a map or a list. We prefer the storyboarding. You can actually see where you are doing things wrong. So I'm working with a client now, and I had a comment yesterday, a massive, it's actually a bunch of processes that we put on a one big canvas, and the people were so enjoying that. And the I'm going to say the job title, the creative director said, wow, we thought we know what we're doing, but to see this all and see how it all flows, the one process flows into one another is fantastic. And then people come back after a process mapping session, they review it, and then they see, but you know, why are we doing things that way? And once you see that process picture map, and I'm going to mention here, we have a fantastic storyboarding methodology that ProThink owns and built, and it's just beautiful. It just works because it's different to swim lanes, it's different to anything else you've seen, and it just works because people look at that, they see the story of what they're doing, and the improvement comes.
Thanks, MJ. So what I'm hearing is that create a space for people to be able to bring their ideas, and at the same time to use the fail fast, fail forward approach. Is you know, you might have such a long list of ideas that's coming up. How do you manage that? How do you prioritize it? So how do you know which ideas are going to create the biggest impact? Obviously, you need to tie it back to some strategic objectives that you have, or certain strategies that you've already got in place, objectives that need to be attained. So if you're in a fairly sizable organization, how do you bring all of this together? I'm gonna ask you first, Vincent, and then Andrew, maybe you got some comments around that.
Yeah, thanks, Michelle. I just want to go back to what MJ said, just a quick comment, if I may. And so I really like MJ's point there about what might have been the question, the way you phrased the question, Michelle. I don't remember now. But in this process mapping session, that's where change and innovation can happen. So people mustn't undersell themselves and think, I'm not an entrepreneur. Now, the clerk that has an idea is an entrepreneur. They are breaking the rule. The rule is the process was step 1, 2, and 3, and they're now suggesting, let's break that. Let's change the way that that process works, or introduce something foreign into it.
Yeah, but I don't think we want to suggest that people should just go and break rules all over the place. I think the point is that by mapping your processes and seeing it, so processes are there so that people can follow a standard. And when you break the rules, you go and discuss that and say, let's change it. It's not about just breaking away, but it's actually breaking the process, but then changing the process. So you must actually implement that in a controlled way and an approved way.
Exactly, yes. So I think that now moves on to Michelle's questions. How do you manage these ideas that they don't wreak havoc in your organization? Yeah, so a lot of businesses that I've dealt with have tried innovation over the years. And I think back of one in particular, and I saw what they did in multiple other organizations, where they had a mailbox in the reception area, and that's where new ideas would go. So if you had an idea, you'd go put it in the mailbox, and nothing would come of it, because out of that mailbox, someone needs to go capture all of that information, capture those ideas. Employees didn't come in through the reception area. They came up into the basement, used the escalator, the elevator, and went into the offices. So it was in the wrong place, and it had the wrong mechanisms of extracting information out of it. So I think the key would be try and make it as seamless as possible for people to come up with ideas, but also try and make sure that you reward them. And I think if we go over to how we would suggest capturing processes, it's similar to how you can go through phases of innovation, trying to capture innovative ideas. So I think, Michelle, you used this in a LinkedIn post, where step one is you list the business processes in an Excel spreadsheet. So take those ideas and put them in a spreadsheet and mark the processes that could render better outcomes. So in that same spreadsheet, you can have a few columns about criteria that, as the executive team, you feel a idea should be measured against. So you've got your list of ideas, and you've got columns where you can have a scale of, say, 1 to 5, and you indicate in each block how that idea compares to those strategic initiatives. And then map as is with the team. That would basically be, now once you have decided which are the most critical or advantageous ideas, is to go sit with those people and get a bit more input from them, so that you can then actually go to the next step, which is to map out those ideas. So have a spreadsheet, put the ideas in them. What are your strategic initiatives? And on a scale of 1 to 5, how does each idea rank against those strategic initiatives? And then you have a matrix, and then go sit with those people whose ideas have ranked the highest. They will feed back to the organization to say, hey, my idea was heard. And that'll create motivation for other people that their idea may also come out. Of course, there's option 2 and option 3. This is now around process, naturally. But option 2 would maybe be to have a bit more analytics around that, a dashboard perhaps, have a spreadsheet that everyone in the organization can access, so it's in a central place. Maybe use Google Sheets, or you got Office 365, and you can use a shared spreadsheet. And then option 3 is having a system that can actually capture this information for you with dashboards and alerts that come out of that system.
Thanks, Vincent. Andrew, your comments around how does one go about this?
Yeah, so again, great topics. I'm just thinking back to my corporate years, and I remember, I think in the last 2 years, there was in the break room, there was a big red box asking for ideas. And I think the joke was the fact that we were just watching that over the course of the months stay empty. So what's going on there. Not only is it an ineffective way to collect ideas, but it also puts people under pressure, because if you're the only person that goes up to that box and puts something in there, people might start talking about you and say, hey, maybe our jobs are about to get changed because Andrew had some brilliant idea. But anyway, what I like about this topic, when you're talking about failing fast, failing forward, yes, we want to break the rules. So how do we break the rules together? How do we break the rules with the approval of the actual decision makers? And of course, that's where the whole topic of lean comes into place. Lean is the possibility to give the mandate to your process experts, to the business owners, to say, wait a second, there is a better way to do that. And lean is telling us that. And what I'll show you right now, I'm just going to show you an example of one of our waste collection dashboards that we use with our process improvement clients. Everyone can see my screen. Going back to that expression I mentioned earlier by Linus Pauling, the famous chemist from the 1800s. The best way to have a good idea is to have a lot of ideas. So right now, if you're not really familiar with lean and you're thinking, well, how do I get people to have ideas? Well, very easy way to start getting people to start speaking about their processes is to teach them about the lean waste, muda in Japanese, as a lot of people are using. And here's an example of a dashboard we're using that you can see on the left side. You got the director of banking operations. You have a direct reports, and you can see this is we're talking about a company now of 233 people, or a division of 233 people. As you can see on the dashboard, how many people are in the company. You can see how many processes each of those teams own. So once a team leader realizes that they own a process, they can then start articulating the lean waste logic to their processes. And what we have going across the top of the dashboard, I highlighted in an exaggerated way what the waste are using the famous Timwood methodology. And you can see those are the 8 lean wastes that are used to identify if there's transportation waste, if things are moving around too much, if there's defects, if things are being produced too much, inventory waste, over processing, skill misalignment waste. That's a great one that gets people talking, saying, is it possible that somebody has some skill sets that are not being used correctly or not being used at all that should be? Is it possible somebody is doing a job where they're working on a process where they need additional skill sets and they don't have it? So that's a great one just to get people to open up. But if you start at a more simpler way, do defects exist? And I think 2 out of every 3 people could probably find defects within a process, as small as they may be. So what you have there is you have a portfolio of opportunity given to your middle and senior managers there by the actual process owners themselves, team leaders, and even the people that are underneath team leaders doing the daily work, saying, hey, dear company, these are all the opportunities, these are all the ideas that we have that could potentially make our value chain more streamlined and more efficient from an end-to-end point of view. And this is the first give back to somebody when they see this dashboard and say, wait a second, you know what, I'm really interested in making our client service team better this year, and I'm seeing 150 different waste reduction opportunities on the dashboard. Now it's time to start getting some problem solvers and decision makers in the room to try to figure out which are the next ones we want to start looking at and potentially making investments.
Great, thanks, Andrew. And what I always love about this dashboard is you really do, once you know what you're reading, you do see a lot of information in here, which immediately then answers or leads me to the next question is, how does one avoid analysis paralysis? And MJ, this is a question that I'd like to pose to you as a project manager. Using lessons learned from projects or programs, how do you use that information with your entrepreneurial capability to really move your innovative ideas into projects that is going to address those strategic goals that you're aiming for?
Michelle, yeah, unfortunately, lessons learned, one of those things that's often lip service. It's part of your project management methodology, and you have to do it before you can close the project. it's a great way for people to debrief, but very often that's you capture your lessons learned and you file your project documentation and nothing happens. But it's all about taking action. I mean, you know, we all know about the PDCA cycle, that action is to say, so what lessons have we learned and what should we do about it? You know, so when I do a lessons learned session, I always start with what did we do well? What should we do more of? And you should take that actions and say, build that into your project management methodology or your systems development life cycle or your product development life cycle, and make sure that you do more of that best practice thing, that you share that with a company, that it becomes part of your processes, it becomes part of your information. And then on the negative side, if there's things that didn't go so well, what can we do? What can a future project do to prevent this? And take the action, change your processes, create mini work packages, projects, assign ownership, and make sure it happens.
Great. Yeah, Vincent, go.
Go for it. I just wanted to touch on analysis paralysis. And I think there's, so we got all these ideas. How do we choose the right ones and not go into analysis paralysis? And I think there's a few ways of doing it in terms of VizPro, the ProThink methodology. I'd like to show something. And then I think Andrew's software also has a great way in terms of categorizing those ideas. So perhaps he can share with us. In terms of our VizPro methodology, I think this is a great solution to analysis paralysis. And what you're seeing here is essentially, to see if I can get a laser pointer going. Yeah, so here at the bottom of the page is your activities in your business. And as a team leader, even, you can do this, right? So as a team leader, what is the value chain of my team to the business? It doesn't have to be of the business to customers, but what is my value chain as a team leader? How do I deliver value to my customer, being other business units? So you list those out. And immediately you might say, but you know, we're actually struggling to deliver and serve the other business units. Something's sticking here. There's a bottleneck or something's not right. And you can highlight that with a little burning fire there. And the step after that is to then go and unpack the processes that lead to that activity happening. So what is it that we are doing in terms of delivering and serving our customers? We give customer support, we match orders to payments, and there's warehouse and fulfillment and so on. And you may then realize, as you're unpacking these are our processes, that this process has a burning issue. This is one of the core reasons why this activity is underperforming. And so immediately, you know, if we're getting ideas that speak to this point, that are around this process, that's an idea I need to prioritize. If I'm getting an idea that's got to do with understanding market trends and how to do that better, it's actually not a priority right now. Let's put that on the back burner. So I think that's a great way, when you get ideas, match them to the burning issues in your business. And how do you find the burning issues? You do a value chain analysis and what processes tie into your value chain. So from my perspective, that's how you deal with analysis paralysis.
Thanks, Vincent. And we have deployed this very simplistic approach of talking to people, a team, and saying, let's go at a very high level in 5 steps. What happens in this division or in this business or in this team? And then let's see whether those 5 things that are happening are contributing to the goals of this company. And if not, and you see, as Vincent reflected there, where we might not be able to render that outcome that would support the strategic goals. What is the cause of it? And that could be a very good point then of going into a process and saying, this process is the one that is hampering the entire deliverable or outcome. And that's what we focus on. We do this also to see where you would apply specific technologies. If you choose to, if you say, this year we want to automate more, you do exactly the same thing. And then on the processes that you know are potential areas of, let me just get this, potential areas of actually adding automation, you can then say, great, this process, and this process could be automated. And while we're looking at it, probably that's already a bit of innovation happening there. You might cut out quite a few steps and reassign people or retrain people into other areas. So, thanks.
We've got a very good question here.
Yeah.
Say, how do you position innovation in a positive activity? I remember years ago when I was in corporate, there was a trend of finding fault with everything. How do you prevent that, especially given what the world is going now? So make it positive rather than this is what we're doing wrong.
True, and I want to also respond to what Andy has just said, that there's a there's a Finnish saying, why should you fix something that's not broken? We actually have a very interesting case in a client at the moment where there is a very young contingent of employees or team members and an older, if I say older, have been there for the last 30 years. And to bring those two cultures together is quite a challenge for the senior team, based on the fact that even the senior team is saying it's worked all these years, why should we be changing? And in our opinion, innovation is also related not so much as to are you retaining market share, but what are your competitors doing, and how long will you be able to retain your market share given new ways and more innovative ways of doing things? So innovation really is something that is like quality control. It's got to be part of the culture of the business.
Yeah, but I think coming back to how do you make it not negative but positive is to say, you know, recognize people for improving. You know, it's there's gamification. You can run competitions. You can incentivize people in some way, even just if it's a public pat on the back. Let them know that they contribute and that you appreciate it.
And I think Andrew, if I'm not mistaken, Presto has a nice feature where the person captures their perception of what the solution's benefits are. And that also in itself helps with analysis paralysis. You know, you can put the faith in your staff that they are able to use their gut feeling to assess the potential of a solution, and then using that, find the best innovations to try and innovate on, proceed with in projects.
Yeah. And that's why that dashboard becomes so. When I presented, I'm enjoying myself right now. We're working with this. One of our newest clients from last year is ice cream factory in South Italy. They have 3 plants, and they're really just at the beginning of their lean journey. They're in the 3rd generation. They're a family business, but now they have about almost 200 employees. And now we got the 3rd generation children that are at the top of the company. You know, they've been out of university for a bit. But they're very in tune to the fact that there's a world out there called lean management, and and it needs to get integrated into the older traditional methodology that's been working for them for the last 60 years. So what the way we presented the whole waste management dashboard. So look, this is your Christmas tree. You want to put a lot of lights on it, don't you? And now the people connecting the dots there realize, oh, okay, so how do I put lights on the tree? Well, I start identifying waste in my area that I can put on that dashboard, because at the end of the day, that dashboard is a portfolio of improvement opportunities for the company. And I'm sharing my screen, I hope everyone can see it. And the first thing you do when you're telling the people that are getting involved, you're saying, remember, the worst problem to have in this company is to say everything's perfect. There's no way you want to be in that situation there. And by doing so, as soon as your dashboard starts popping up with waste, all right, now you're overloaded with all the lights on the Christmas tree. It's time to look at each of those together with the management team and start figuring out what's going on. What are we interested in? So here you can see, if you were to drill into just a cut of the dashboard that I showed you earlier, you start looking at the type of waste that people have identified. If you take a look on the left side of this report here, you have the process that the waste was attached to. You have a description of coming directly from the process owner of saying why there's a hypothesis that this waste exists. And the first thing you tell everybody, you say, look, it's a hypothesis and you could be wrong, it's no issue, but it's great to get it on the table. And if that's as far as you can take it, no issues, because we're a team and the team is going to look at this together and we're going to discuss things together until not only do we have the description of the waste, but we also have the description of what could potentially be an opportunity for the company to make that waste better. And here's where you get people's real ideas coming into place. We've identified a waste, which is pretty much standard. It's not as much an art as it is a science. You know, this is a defect. No, hands down. This is downtime and waiting. This is overproduction. We don't need this piece of the product. And then once you start looking at that, you start saying, you know what? If we were to eliminate this waste or reduce it from our value chain, what will we get back? And here's where you start telling middle and senior management, this is your portfolio of opportunity. And here we've identified in this company 5 main waste types that we want senior management to be reviewing on a weekly basis. We want waste types that impact client service, waste types that impact the accuracy and precision of the process, waste types which bring a certain level of risk to the company, waste types which waste time. So which waste is actually, if we reduce, would actually give back minutes or even hours to our process experts. And then finally, which waste type is giving us it could potentially give us a competitive advantage in the market. Where could we actually get closer to our competitor because this waste is actually bringing us back? And from that point, you notice how it's not a very difficult exercise here. This is when we start talking about analysis paralysis. We don't need to get to the level where we're actually giving a real calculated number regarding risk of client service. We just want the process owner to say, you know what, I think the client would be very happy if we could fix this. I think we would reduce some risk. And when you start seeing these benefits cakes, as we like to call them, then you can start asking people, how much would it take to get that out of there? What's the feasibility? And some people are already in a position to say, you know what, it wouldn't take that long. I just need this and a couple of people to do this over the next few weeks. So you start putting a feasibility analysis. And if you're actually at a level, if you're actually using some of the lean tools that a lot of the analytical people like to use, you start putting minutes savings, calculate numbers, because that's what senior management seems to like the most these days, is how much time I'm going to save if I reduce something. So you can see from this report over here, you know immediately who the process owners are, what their ideas are on how to make things better, and what dependencies they have in the company to actually get that done. And this is what's going to get you out of analysis paralysis. This is what's going to get senior managers, middle managers, people that have the power to decide something and make an investment in the company to say, you know what, that person's right. Before we even launch a project, let's analyze it a bit more. But this is the stepping stone. And what you see on the screen can be done by any process level, any process expert that's in the company, whether they're with the company for 1 week, 1 year, or 10 years.
And stepping right back to strategy then, would KPIs support or hinder innovation?
Yeah, so basically, the beauty about KPIs is that if you report them correctly and if you report them systematically, they are going to even be more help when you start teaching people about waste, because you say, if it's important that we hit this number on a weekly basis, when people start doing their waste exercise, they're going to have that in the back of their mind, and they're going to say, what waste is actually making that number not where I want it to be? So at this point in time, while you have your process experts actually making the processes better by coming up with waste, you have senior management looking at the KPIs and in a more quicker way, understanding which KPIs work, which KPIs need to be discarded, they're useless, and which KPIs could be adjusted based on what the feedback is coming from the process experts. KPIs for me is the most difficult culture to bring into a company, because it requires discipline at all levels, but above all the management level. The management needs to not only take the time to look at the KPIs, but they have to actually make decisions on those KPIs and show the company that they're listening to what the KPIs are telling, and actually aligning the KPIs to what the company is trying to do, the strategy.
Exactly. Vincent, you've been running with a couple of projects where we use the objective key results system to really focus the attention of not only reducing waste, but through that reaching specific objectives and attaining KPIs. How have you seen that has brought innovation, even though KPIs is a difficult thing, but how have you seen in those projects that it brought great innovation? And then I'm going to make a comment about it as well.
Sure. Yeah, and I see Sanette has also just put a question there in the chat. Would OKRs not be more valuable in the innovation process? I assume Sanette's saying as opposed to KPIs, OKRs versus KPIs. Maybe if you can just clarify that, Sanette. Yeah, so, okay, she says yes. So in terms of OKRs and innovation, we again start with that storyboard that I showed you, where you map out the value chain. And the reason for that is to understand what the priorities are in the quarter. So OKR is generally something you want to be doing quarter by quarter. So we do that positioning map from the viewpoint of what is it that we want to achieve in this quarter. And then we can take the OKRs and assign responsibility to specific team members. And we then we check in with them every week to see how they're progressing. So at the beginning of the quarter, you don't know where you're going to end up at the end of the quarter. Are you going to deliver the full thing or not? And more specifically, what am I going to do tomorrow and the day after and the day after and the day after? Your day-by-day planning is not there, but we have the broad idea of what we want to achieve. And when we then go into each week, we are able to say, this is my week's goals. And next week, I can report whether I met those goals or not, and adapt, and then tackle the week ahead. Now, what's nice about that, that's fail fast, fail forward. Each week we are assessing, did I do what I was expecting last week? If I did, great. Can I do more this week? If not, should I do less this week? Or should I change my strategy this week? But that's a cultural thing. It comes back down to, do I have the culture where people can attempt something in a week, and if it doesn't work, we change strategy next week? Or am I going to punish them for that? And I don't think KPIs are a hindrance in that. You can get your KPIs to align with your OKRs. And specifically my view on it, and I think it gets philosophical, but my view is that with OKRs, you move the business forward. So yes, that's innovation. But once I've moved the business forward, I need to maintain this new level that I've created. And KPIs are then the way of maintaining the level I've created. And if that's a constant thing that I'm doing, then I can actually introduce KPIs to ensure that there's constant innovation. So I don't think KPIs work against OKRs, they support OKRs. And the combination is great. It's a really good combination.
Thanks, Vincent. Yes, I see that both Sanette and Dipti agree with that. MJ, any closing points around reaching KPIs and how innovation is either hindered or supported through KPIs, the use of KPIs? You're on mute.
No, I don't think I can add anything to what Andrew and Vincent said. I think it's not rocket science, but it is. I think there's some people in the audience that will agree. It requires a culture change. It requires change management before people actually get the hang of it, and it becomes business as usual. It's a big change for people to move into that habit.
The point that thanks MJ, wanted to make is that a project that we ran last year, specifically around how can we be more innovative in achieving specific goals. One of the major goals was to increase sales and geographic reach. And within a 100-day period, we managed through the system that Vincent has also spoke about of tying OKRs to KPIs. We managed a 48% increase in revenue and a slight reduction in the cost of sales, simply by doing things that we didn't think about before. And that's the magic that happens if you take that holistic view. So I think that is about the end of our discussion. Are there any other questions that we would want to ask? Because I'd like us to move on to the very attractive offer that we have. Is there any questions that we missed? Any more questions somebody would like to ask?
Don't see any more questions.
Of course, you're always welcome to connect with us on LinkedIn or any of the other email ways of connecting if you have further questions. So Andrew, I'm going to step over to then the offer, which we essentially say that the benefits of this offer is to give you at least a 5 times return on investment through those elements that we listed earlier on. Time savings, in other words, the time taken to get things done. And there's a whole range of elements that's included in that. Cutting out unnecessary stuff through waste reduction, clarifying roles and objectives, which means that there's faster decision making. And that is, as Andrew quite rightly said, that increases focus. Minimize the forgetting curve, the loss of corporate or institutional or retained knowledge, whether people move positions, whether new people start, or whether something just hasn't been used for a while and then we go and reinvent it while we could have innovated on what was done before. And then obviously increased performance, which includes higher productivity, which from many companies, it's the way to move into 2023 is to manage your productivity, increase productivity up, manage costs down. And what Andrew will now share with us is then how Presto could do this and within this very special offer that we're sharing with you.
Thanks, Michelle. I'm going to share my screen again. Here we go. So, yeah, so special offer. Delighted that there's been such a big interest in the market these days, coming from smaller companies on waste reduction, continuous improvement, and you've caught us now in a time that's a very exciting but interesting time for us. We've been in business since 2016, officially as a software as a service provider. Traditionally working at the enterprise level, the deals that we've been making have been with companies always at group level and project levels. In other words, to kick off a fail fast, fail forward continuous improvement project with us, it involved a bunch of people and it involved a bunch of planning. What we've done now, as of last month, we're officially online. You can now buy Presto on a subscription-based service. You can go log in, you can get a 14-day free trial, and you can even try out the modules without even having to call anybody, because we are completely equipped with the training and the videos you need and cheat sheets. So at the moment, we're looking for people that are that are process-oriented, innovation-oriented, to start using our system both with their companies or maybe even with their businesses that to support their clients, as my company does. We're the first user of Presto. So what we're offering today, especially to this group, as many people that know me know, I enjoy working with the ProThink team. The ProThink team is one of our favorite users. They are absolute product champions of Presto. And everything that I'm showing you on the screen today, this team has been doing now for almost 2 years. And so what's in the offering for today? Well, we're offering 5 of the 6 modules of Presto for in a what we call the yellow package. You're going to be able to automate processes, any working recurring tasks you have. You can build your own Kanban boards, put those checklists on the Kanban board, and Presto is going to remind you task by task, person by person, who's supposed to do it. Process waste elimination, innovation, as we spoke today. You can be able to capture processes, identify opportunities in those processes, and light up that dashboard, the same way I showed you that dashboard earlier with our Italian client. KPI and project management, same thing. Any activities that you want to manage now using our solution, use the PDCA, Plan, Do, Check, Act workflow, so that you know phase by phase, people by people, or group by group, who's responsible for what. Thanks to MJ, we have a beautiful document management module, which we've built over the course of 2022. We hired a developer separately just for document manager. We've been working on it for almost 4 years, but this year we finally closed the loop, and we got it really attractive, so that any small company, even a one-man band, can set up their company and get all their documents linked to their processes, linked to their projects, without even having to go create an earthquake within the shared drive, the OneDrive, Google Docs, wherever you keep everything. You don't have to change anything. It just links accordingly. So keeping that in mind, Michelle mentioned the benefits, especially if you're a small business, you can connect the dots where all kinds of administration is stopping you from working on your business and keeping you working in your business. Presto, like I said, I'm the first user. We started building it in 2015 after it was successfully a prototype in a bank in 2013, 2014. Now it's officially online, but my team was the first users of it. So our team, a small consulting company, we're the first ones to make sure that as a small business, all of these benefits you see on the screen, we're validating that this is what you're going to get back from it. So keeping all of this in mind, our offer to anybody that's interested in taking this approach in their business for the next couple months is that we're offering Presto for $9 a month. So you can start at $9 a month, which gives you actually 2 licenses. So it's actually $4.50 a month, but right now it's $9 a month. And this is actually 60% discounted, because as we sold Presto in the past at the enterprise level, we're speaking more about $75 to $99 a month per license. And now like I said, we're looking for the one-man shows to come join us and start helping us make the product better. So you're getting 5 modules out of this. And at the bottom, we got our what we call our grandfather guarantee, which is saying, yes, in January of next year, it's not going to be $9 anymore. We're going to start going back to the original pricing scheme. But if you join us now, we'll be happy to honor that price for the life of your membership. So you can pay monthly, you get a 14-day free trial. You can cancel anytime. So in other words, even if you want to join us for 1 month and after you pay $9, you don't like it anymore, you can cancel. Self-service online training showrooms. We got hundreds of hours of videos that will allow you to get up to speed without even having to contact us. But of course, feel free to contact us, contact the ProThink team above all. And we're here to kick things off. So if you want to start with your company, we'll be happy to offer a free 60-minute training as you come on board. And this is a big interest to many people that are very Lean Six Sigma oriented. Presto, in the first 3 years of its construction, we worked in Switzerland under the sponsorship of the Chamber of Commerce of Freiburg and the School of Architecture and Engineering of Freiburg, working with some Swiss companies, one of which is a Swiss toy company, for which we now have in Presto a completely simulated version of this toy company, which we'll be happy to give to anybody that's participating in today's webinar. So you'll have access to this company. We'll give you your own copy of it. Hundreds of KPIs, issues, processes, documents, and 100+ hours of training video showrooms, which is very intuitive, that will walk you through how to use it.
Wow, Andrew, this is quite an amazing offer. We're getting to the last minute of the event. Obviously, we would love you to try this out. And basically, if you could just quickly in the poll give us an idea of whether this session has given you more insights. A simple yes or a no, if you don't mind. Thank you very much. For those who didn't find a good value out of this, we hope that the next time, well, please advise us what we could do better, and we're keen to work on that. But if we could just look at, we have a next session in December when we have a session on blockchain in particular. We'd love to invite you to that. And then if you need to do a demo session, you can book that with us as well. We will be sending this presentation to you with all the links in a thank you for attending. And we look forward to seeing you at the next event and to possibly host you as one of our beta testers in this fabulous offer. We have just docked in the harbor. Thank you to the panelists. Thank you to each of you for attending and wishing you the best for the rest of the day. Thanks all.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Michelle.